to start with a piece. Before we do our usual thing, I'm going to play a piece that I just finished learning like this morning, so I'm terrified. And I want to just kind of get it out of my system, and then we'll do the rest of the performance. So, have you ever heard of the composer Joachim Raff, R-A-F-F? Yeah, neither had I. Beautiful composer. He was a late 19th century Swiss composer, and I think he was German. His heritage was German, but he lived in Switzerland. I was listening in the car to one of his symphonies. It's beautiful. You know, there's so much music we overlook. So, this piece is called Cavatina, which means short song. It's a violin piece, of course. It's a piano version of it, and it's a beautiful melody. You might have heard. This is maybe his most well-known piece, but that's not saying a lot because he's not very well known. Raff, R-A-F-F. That's his name. So. I really wish me luck because I just learned it. Yeah, thanks. Oh, thank you very much. I mean, I didn't learn it from the beginning to this morning, but it wasn't like quite there. So I'm going to improvise for you after this, and I was just afraid that might turn into an improvisation. Luckily, it didn't. But yeah, Roth. This is funny because that symphony I was listening to in the car. One critic at the time in 1869, he said, "This is the greatest symphony in modern times. He's the next Beethoven." It's just sad how some composers will just fall into obscurity because what a great composer. It's beautiful. There's so many overlooked things. Okay, so that's that little speech on that. I'm gonna do an improvisation for you now. How about we do it this way? Could you give me a popular melody that everybody knows? Not Happy Birthday, but something else. Something else. Sorry?
Don't fence me in.
Don't fence me. I know it, but not well enough to make an intelligible improvisation. Sorry. Anything else?
Happy birthday.
I did it last time. That's the thing. Down by the riverside? Okay, I do. Yeah, I can play that for real later. But let's take that now and put it in the style of a composer. You're going to Vivaldi? We could do Vivaldi. Okay, how about Vivaldi and then how about Roth? I mean, yeah, let's see what happens. I can do both. I can fuse them. So Vivaldi, how are we going to do that? Down by the riverside, right? Okay. Let's just maybe stick to Vivaldi. Okay, we need harpsichord. Well, I don't want to mess up the piano. Okay, so Vivaldi. So right. So. Sound like Vivaldi. I'm going to try another way. Okay. This is going to be like the slow movement of a concerto by Vivaldi. This will work. A gloomy Down by the Riverside. All right, now I'm going to play another relatively new piece for me. This is a famous Bach composition called the Aria in D major. It's from his orchestral suite number 3, and you've probably heard it, and probably it wasn't on the piano. It was with orchestra, with a violin solo. So, yeah, but this piano arrangement is by a Russian composer named Alexander Siloty. He was a 19th century Russian who studied with Liszt, not too shabby, and he did a lot of arrangements of Bach, which are wonderful, for piano. So he took this from orchestra, put it to the piano. Actually, remember I was talking about Peter Schickele, the comedian? He did a version of this, which unfortunately I can't get out of my head. He did a version for like out of tune violin and tuba. Yeah, and it's atrocious, but that's what's so funny about it. So, but to be serious though, an aria is usually something that comes out of an opera aria. In English, the word is air. But Bach didn't write an opera. did write cantatas for the church, and there are arias in there, and I'm thinking that that's probably what this is more connected to, those types of arias. Did you know he had to write a cantata at one point every week? Unbelievable. He had like 24 kids too. How do you, yeah, people back then, I don't know. He did go blind. I mean, I think that's when he would stay up all night and by candlelight and cook. So, oh, I'm sorry.
This is what happened to his wife.
Well, yeah, that's probably, his wife was probably overwhelmed, to say the least. And you know, Bach was not well known in his lifetime. It took over 100 years after his death, really. I mean, maybe less than 100, but it took Mendelssohn really to bring him into the public eye. It's sad. You know, Handel, who was well known because he wrote operas, Handel was traveling near where Bach lived, and Bach wanted to meet him. And Handel said, I don't have time to meet some, you know, random church musician. Really? It's Bach we're talking about. So anyway, I heard a quote somewhere that someone said that when God speaks to angels, it probably sounds like Bach. When angels speak to each other, it probably sounds like Mozart. So. No, I mean, so the thing about Bach, and I mean, you can't generalize this, but I think people experienced time differently in the past. In other words, I mean, they didn't have clocks back in Bach's time. I guess they had sundials or something. But nobody uses that anymore, but or some people do. But the point is, I think that nowadays, you know, we tend to live at a bit of a frenetic pace. And in those days, they didn't, or they couldn't, because life was different. There was no cars. Everything was like slower. And that piece puts you in the feeling of there's like no time there. It's just, you're frozen in time. And it's, you know, I listened to some medieval music in the car the other day. When I drive to perform, I have sometimes really long drives. So I was going to Southern Pines, it's far away. So I thought I need to find something really long to listen to fill up that time. Guillaume de Machaut was a medieval French composer, lived from 1300 to 1370s. I tell people that those were the good old days, you know. I don't know, those were when things were really, no, they actually weren't. It was the Black Plague and it was kind of messed up. But the point is that Machaut was a genius. I mean, my goodness, what a composer. But medieval music is wild. And it's weird. I mean, you hear all these things like that you don't hear in more modern music, and it's kind of like, in a way, like that Bach piece. It's the feeling of time is so slow, and it's so. I had to like wake myself up a couple times driving. It's like, oh, don't get too much into this medieval, you know, sleepy mood thing, because it's not good for driving. So anyway, the moral of all that is, if you drive a lot, don't listen to medieval music. So. But for a horse, that's okay. So anyway, so I'm going to play now Beethoven. I've been playing the first and second movements of the violin concerto like 100 million times for you here, which thank you for listening. I mean, it's great music. I don't need to, you know, put it down or anything or apologize for it. But I finally sort of finished the third movement, and that's what I'm going to attempt to do. I'm starting out with all the new stuff, you know. So the violin concerto is this massive composition by Beethoven. It's like a 48-minute concerto, which that is long for a concerto, really.
It's to hold the violin up too.
Well, yeah, it's whole, but there are points when the orchestra plays, and then you could, yeah, you know, but, so I guess those are strategically put in there. But Beethoven, I read, he wasn't a violinist. So he didn't, and it's like he wasn't a vocalist either. So you ask singers about the Ninth Symphony, great, glorious piece of music, but to sing it, I hear, is a nightmare. It's just all out of range, you know. But at any rate, it's worth it. Singer's suffering produces beautiful music, I guess. But anyway, the violin concerto, Beethoven, you know, he wrote it in 1806. I think I've told you this story. It was a disaster. Everyone fell asleep at the first performance, and he rewrote it for piano. So we have this piano version. Then years after he died, the violin version became popular. There's a theme here, like that Raff guy, he was popular during his lifetime, then sort of forgotten. It's getting a little more popular now. Bach was unknown in his lifetime, and then 100 years later, boom, everyone's playing Bach. So these things go in cycles. So the first two movements of this concerto are very, very deep. They're philosophical. They're even tragic in a way, because remember, he was losing his hearing at this time, and he knew it. And some people have suggested that the whole concerto is a piece of philosophical acceptance of what's happening to him. He struggled with it a lot, accepting the fact that he was losing his hearing. But here's the thing, the third movement, which I'm going to play, is just a lively country dance. It's like a party, you know. The first two movements are introspective and deep and profound and all that. The third movement is just a Ländler, a country dance. A Ländler, by the way, is a rustic Austrian dance. It's kind of the ancestor of the waltz, and there's a feeling of three, you know, but it's heavy. It's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Something like that for Oktoberfest, you know. I mean, it really has that kind of, you know, that feeling. So here's my imagination of this: that you go through the second movement, which is a very pastoral movement. It's like that painting over there, or so. It's the countryside for sure. And then You know, imagine you're walking through the countryside and feeling very reflective and philosophical and enjoying nature, and then suddenly you run into a party, and a bunch of farmers, they have some kegs of beer, and they're dancing the Ländler. And that's what this third movement is, in my opinion. So, I'm going to start with the segue from the second movement into the third, and then we go from there. A lot of Beethoven's symphonies and concertos, they'll do this. The first 2 or 3 movements will be very serious in their subject matter, and then the last movement is just a lighthearted, upbeat dance. You know, it's like, you know, it ends on a happy note. So, like comic opera can do. Okay, I need to play it and stop talking. Okay, here. That's a tricky one. Thank you very much. I'll tell you why it's tricky. Well, it's just tricky because there's a lot of notes, one thing. But it did. Well, thank you. That's okay. But so this brings up another question. Some people ask me, so how do you memorize all these things? I'll explain to you the process. Pain and suffering. That's it. And I stay up late and I don't get enough sleep. And because I have small kids, so I don't want to like work on memorization when they're running around destroying the house. And I kind of join them because it's fun. Then they go to bed, and then it's like repeat a passage and then try to play it from memory, and it doesn't work. And it's agony. And it's, but the thing is, I don't like playing with sheet music in a concert because it's sort of it distracts you in a way. So once you have the memorization, then you don't have it. That's the thing. I'll think I have it. Like last night, that Roth piece, I had it, and then this morning it's okay, I can play it. Crashed and burned. Then a few spots. So it's just, that's what it is. And there might be people out there, I think I know some who just, it comes easy to them, and I'm so envious, although I think they might be lying. But it's hard. And then the Beethoven, what I've been doing is like, that's for solo and orchestra, soloist and orchestra. So I've written out my own, I'm trying to add the orchestra in, and I've written in there. So it takes 3 times longer because I'm actually with a pencil, I'm writing it in. And, it's just, okay, so let's see how we're doing on time. You want to hear, oh yeah.
So do you ever mess up the order of things or just like skip something entirely?
Of course, I just don't like to talk about it. Well, luckily, nothing like that has happened now. And the more you play in public, the better that gets. That doesn't, but it can happen. I mean, I have stories. When I was younger, it happened all the time. Muscle memory is not enough. You have to sort of know the music in your mind and picture it in your mind and imagine yourself. That's helped me a lot. Also, knowing how to improvise has helped because, hey, who knows, you might have a Harry Houdini moment. You have to just get out. But yeah, it definitely happens. I was playing not so long ago. I don't like to talk about this, but I was playing this Franck from the Franck Sonata, not Frank Sinatra, Frank Sinatra, and I just got lost, and I had to stop. I said, I'm sorry, I have to do another piece. Forgive me, you know. So it happens. Yeah, memory can be yeah. Maybe I shouldn't play Franck on that note, no? All right, how about I play some short pieces, and then I'll do a little gospel for you. I'm doing an all gospel concert tonight, so I might want to like practice some of that. I'll do Fritz Kreisler, and I've played this piece for you before, the Viennese Caprice. It's a waltzy lullaby. And Kreisler, you know, he was from Vienna, and he was, unfortunately, you know, he left. Vienna, like I think I told you, Vienna waltzed off a cliff, really, in the 20th century. They descended into, well, that's what a historian said about them, that Vienna is like the city of the waltz, right? And then in the 20s and 30s, with the rise of Nazism, it's like they waltzed right off a cliff. That was the context of that quote. I didn't say it. I was too terrified thinking about those memory slips earlier. So, you know, it's just a really tragic thing that happened. And Kreisler was Jewish in his family, and luckily he got out. He came to America. Many people were not so lucky. And it's you know, Vienna has a dark side to it, I would say. And if you listen to the music of Arnold Schoenberg or Anton Weber and Alban Berg, even Mahler to some degree, their music to me shows some of that darker side of Vienna. But this is not a dark piece. This is a happy, fun. This is the positive part of Vienna. This is La Belle Époque. It's bubbly and fun. There's something I was going to say. Yeah, I'm playing Kreisler after Beethoven, so there's a difference between a Viennese composer or someone born in Vienna like Kreisler and someone, Beethoven was born in Bonn, which is now it's Germany. You know, it's different. He lived in Vienna for some of his life, but he was born in Germany. So here's the difference between German composers and Austrian composers. In Germany, things are very serious, but there's always hope, like Beethoven. In Vienna, things are not so serious, but there's no hope. That's the difference. That's how I describe Schubert's music. I love Schubert, but Schubert is, you know what, he's like lighthearted, but deep down he's so gloomy and sad. Like, you know, this piece, you know, the Serenade by Schubert, you know, it's so beautiful, but it's so has a lightheartedness to it, you know. It's so Vienna, but he wrote that as he was dying, you know, at age 31. So it's, anyway, this is not to be dark. This is not a dark piece. This is a fun, happy Chrysler. Chrysler was a wonderful person, always smiling, really friendly. So here it is. And most classical composers were not like that, so yeah. Spanish music now. As I've done for you before, I'm going to play the Habanera by Pablo de Sarasate. And Habanera is a tasty pepper on the one hand. It's also a dance with this rhythm. You know what's supposed to come next, right? Yeah, exactly. Which is, that's a habanera, a Spanish dance by a French guy, Georges Bizet from Carmen. You know, so, but this is Sarasate's habanera. It's just so Spanish. I don't know what to say. It's so Spanish. the roots of the habanera dance, although it was popular in Spain, the roots of it are actually Cuban, Havana. That's why it's called habanera. So, yeah, here it is, the habanera by Pablo de Sarasate, Spanish violinist. You know, he lived into the early 20th century, so there are recordings of him playing, old scratchy recordings. But there's a recording of him playing this. It's incredible to hear. There's recordings of Chrysler playing, too. Actually, a lady came up to me somewhere in Raleigh and she said, you know, I heard Chrysler play in the 1930s. I was very little, but I heard Chrysler. And I said, oh, what I would give to go and hear Fritz Chrysler play, I don't know. So, anyway, here is Pablo de Sarasate's Habanera. In the remaining minutes, I'll play a little gospel, also call it some last-minute preparation for this thing I'm doing tonight. I probably played these here before, but it was a while ago, maybe half a year ago or something. So, down by the riverside, how about I'll do that, but not like in the style of Vivaldi, I'll do it in the style of the way Mahalia Jackson sang it. So here it is, Down by the Riverside. It's not only a great spiritual, but it's a pacifist song. Ain't gonna study war no more, no more. I wished we would not. Right.
We need some action on that.
How are we doing on, could like one more, two more? How, is it okay? Okay, do you want to hear another upbeat one, or do you want to hear a more mellow one? Upbeat, okay, we like upbeat, yeah.
No, but he said he wants to hear two.
Oh, you want to hear two? Oh. How about two, but shorten the rule? To make it, okay, I'll do like maybe half one verse of, this is Crying in the Chapel. It's from the 1950s. It was written Elvis, Mahalia Jackson, they all sang it. So apparently it was written by a Texan, I forgot his name, but he had gone for back surgery, and when he got out of surgery, the pain was gone. Years and years and years of pain, and he went to just some small chapel and he started crying because he was like, I have no more pains. So it's wonderful. So here it is. real quick, I'll close with like a couple verses of When the Saints Go Marching. I need to practice it too, so that is tricky. And then we'll be done. So this is in a very New Orleans style. So the story of this hymn is actually kind of the story of jazz, because When the Saints Go Marching In was a spiritual. It came during the dark time of our history, during slavery, but it was sung very slowly at that time. And then it got to New Orleans, and they play it for funerals. But a New Orleans funeral, like a New Orleans anything, is not a sad thing. It's a party. It's a celebration of, like, yeah, with lots of brass and drums. And they started playing it in a more upbeat way, and that's jazz, basically. That's where jazz comes from. So it's not. This is not. I don't play jazz. I wish I could, but you know, I can't do everything. So, but this is gospel. But it's jazz is like comes out of this for sure. So.
In New Orleans, when they had the funeral procession, they walked down the street playing the song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they.
They're partying.
That's what they do in New Orleans for anything. Maybe I'm sure they even have a party for taxes.
They certainly have hurricane parties.
Well, they do. Yeah, they do. At the Waffle House too. But they even have those here. But you know, like,
The Waffle House shuts down.
if it shuts down, we all shut down. You know, they're charging 50 cents even more for eggs at
Waffle House.
Waffle House. It's underrated. Just like, you know, that Swiss composer I started. We went this morning with my wife. It was really good. Waffle House is good. They used to have one on Franklin Street. Anyway, I need to play this thing. Yeah, but that one was, I don't know. I don't know. I think I know why they shut it down. But anyway, so here it is. Yeah, there were. Anyway. Wait, what am I playing? Oh, When the Saints Go. Okay. Okay.
Think about that.
Think about Waffle House. Thank you so much. One of the benefits of having an electric piano is, if you notice, the weather has been sort of all over the place. All the pianos, including the ones in my house, are messed up. Piano tuners are, they don't have openings now. And every piano I've performed on recently has sticking keys, broken hammers. It's really sad. I played somewhere yesterday, I won't say where it was, and I started to really question, should I even be a pianist? Because I thought it was me, but I think it was the piano. So, yeah, but it's nice that this doesn't. Anyway, thank you, and I'll see you all next month.